Hi, this is Michael Thayer for EDL 856VA, Fall 2017. This is Module 16, Case Study, Parental Apathy. First off, let's talk about Category 1, Problem Identification and Analysis. What I know. I have received evidence that at some point in the past, the high school had some parent groups. So there were parent groups in the past. There's currently low parental contact and involvement. Recent efforts to involve parents in the school have failed and been abandoned. The main example I have is that the principal tried to get parents to volunteer to work in the cafeteria. From what I know, the principal's prime method of communication with parents is through students. To advertise the most recent parental meeting, for example, the principal sent a paper flyer home with students with instructions to pass the flyers on to their parents. The principal is following my lead on renewed efforts to increase parental involvement. 8 parents have come to a meeting on parent involvement, and my leadership will be pivotal in determining how the meeting proceeds. I know that parental involvement matters. Let's watch this short video to see why. Need to know. Student performance data. This is perhaps the most key piece of information that I'm missing. Before moving forward with my agenda, which is biased with my particular beliefs about the importance of parental involvement, I want to discover if there are any correlations between parental involvement and the success of all students in our school. Specifically, I need to look at standardized test scores and the school D&F list from the past years, stretching back to times when we had active parent groups. Also, I'm going to investigate the schools with high academic performance in our area and discover what their levels and methods of parent involvement are. 2. Details about past parent groups. I'm also curious to know more about the parent groups in the past. What were they? What did they do well? Why were they abandoned? How can I build on what they accomplished? 3. Reasons for principal skepticism. Why does the principal think that putting a lot of effort into parent involvement will have negative consequences? How can I support a change in his perceptions so that he and I share a common vision of the importance and achievability of effective parent involvement? 4. Parents' perceptions. What are parents' current perceptions about their involvement in the school? How would parents like to be involved in the school? What would drive them to succeed? And 5. How to increase parental involvement. Why did only 8 parents show up at the parent involvement meeting? How can I increase the number of involved parents? Problem identification and analysis continues. So basically I've got a 2-part challenge here. The first part is establishing the need. The second part is strengthening and maintaining. A little more detail on that. I know that at some point in the past we had active parent groups. I know that the school currently has low parental involvement, and that the current principal has failed at increasing parental involvement and abandoned those efforts. I need to discover the potential impact increased in parent involvement would have on student academics. I need to improve my understanding both of the history of parental involvement in this school and parents' perceptions of their involvement in the school, with the ultimate goal of increasing parental involvement in the school. Essentially, this means that my two-part challenge is first to establish the need for increased parental involvement through credible research and data, and second, to strengthen and maintain effective systems of parent involvement. So, Category 2, Proposed Plan of Action with Appropriate Strategies for Implementation. My plan of action basically has three strategies: Unite Leadership, Lead Listening Campaign, and Be a Connector. These three strategies in my plan of action are interrelated and need to be initiated in this order. But first, I need to deal with the situation that we are dealing with. So, basically we are opening up with an 8-parent meeting that has been convened. The principal and I are there. And before I can take the first step of my action plan, I need to manage this scene. So basically the principal is leaning towards disbanding the meeting due to low turnout. What will I do? Telling the parents to go home would be a mistake. It would devalue their efforts in attending, potentially demotivate their future involvement, and create bad PR for our school. These parents could talk to other parents in the community about how the school administration responds to parental involvement. In other words, telling them to go home because there's not enough of them there. I will submit this to the principal at the meeting, along with this idea. Let's empower these 8 parents by casually asking for and listening to positive stories about their students and this school in order to help us determine our strengths as a school. After each parent has shared and we have engaged in deep listening with follow-up questions to show we care, let's lead the conversation toward the conclusion that we should be having these conversations with other parents as well, and ask for the 8 parents for their ideas on how to go about that. Based on their input, we may consider ideas such as holding additional meetings in the near future, expanding communication methods, and clarifying goals and agendas ahead of time. I will also ask my principal in as confident and excited way as possible if he can delegate the evening's conversation to me. If so, I would begin facilitating the parent group by humbly asking the principal at opportune moments if I am right in saying X or Y or Z, and building him up by expounding on the importance of anything he says, because he has the experience and knowledge on which we are here to build, and so on. So now we can go into our first strategy, which is to unite the leadership. There's a need for improving parent-school communication and strengthening and maintaining these systems of communication. My first step has to be uniting the principal and myself in a shared vision of what our needs are and how we should move forward. I will do this by meeting with the principal to analyze data together. We will look at the test scores of our students over the past years, all the way back to when the school last had a functional PTO. We will look at the test scores of our schools with well-established communication networks and high levels of parent involvement. We will discuss what we see and postulate what other data would be beneficial. We will review standards for public relations in school and discuss potential obstacles and how to overcome them. We will brainstorm and agree upon systems for communicating with parents, which may include face-to-face conversations, online surveys, automated dialers, group emails, social media, and empowered parent volunteers, PTO for example. We will begin using these systems consistently and faithfully in order to reach parents through various avenues and build our credibility as effective communicators. The goal of Strategy 1 is to unite myself and the principal in a shared vision of importance of effective parent involvement in the school through collaborative analysis and discussion of credible data sources. This unity will prove crucial as the principal and I move toward the second strategy. Let's take a look at that right now. It's basically a listening campaign. With my principal, I will co-lead a listening campaign to reach out to stakeholders to discover what they need from a community school, and in doing so ask them who they think the important community members are, and thus begin following a trail of breadcrumbs to meet and engage with key figures in the local scene. Once I have identified and engaged key leaders among the community and parents, the principal and I will invite them personally and all parents through multiple communication avenues to join us in person for appreciative inquiry. What is that? Appreciative inquiry is a system whereby we engage the community in positively framed conversations with the objective of identifying what is working, discussing and agreeing on how we can make things even better, and committing to a shared vision. You can go ahead and look at the video clip here to see what here's a brief clip from a video. I'm not going to show the whole video, but it is a brief clip that shows what appreciative inquiry looks like. So as you see on the screen here, it says people like talking about their successes. They actively engage in discussions that focus on what works. When shaping positive stories with colleagues, people gain confidence in their ability to deliver. It's experience, not someone else's best practice. Involving lots of people in these positive conversations raises participation in making positive change come about. So, really in a nutshell, what this means is we're going to be having conversations with parents where we talk about what works, positive stories with their students, and we're going to see more about that in a second, how that's being done in another school. But that's appreciative inquiry. It's basically building on the positive rather than focusing on negative, which tends to be something that can stifle the creativity and the excitement that is required to make positive change in an organization. So let's take a look at something that's going on in a school in the area where I live actually right now, where appreciative inquiry is being used. Hi, I'm right back here talking to you about a local initiative using appreciative inquiry in my school district, and it's called Elevate, Building on 5-Star Success. So basically, let me go ahead and scroll down. So basically, the district is inviting parents, as you can see here, to meetings, okay? And you can see they even have one in Spanish. Let's take a look down about what the process is going to look like. So as you see here, it's a process to involve parents, community members, students, staff. So lots of different people are involved. It's not just parents. To talk about identifying core strengths, priorities, strategies, and outcomes to develop a 5-year strategic plan that will elevate student success in the district. So already we're not talking about what's wrong. We're talking about what's right and how can we get even better. Community engagement sessions will gather stories and insights on who we are and who we want to be. Using a storytelling process that builds on what's working well. Here we see appreciative inquiry. We will hear from you about the following. Your story about a positive experience with your child or school that will help us determine our district strengths. Now, this is exactly what we're talking about with having parent meetings in this case study, is we're going to be having meetings to build on positive experiences that our parents have had. Your hopes and dreams for your child or school that will help us determine who we want to be in 5 years. So there you see the planning ahead feature, where we're actually involving parents in the process of planning what the school's going to be like in the future. Your big ideas for new or enhanced services and student supports that will help us determine how to achieve our hopes and dreams. So again, great, excellent, we love it. This is building on the strengths of the community, not just the ideas of a couple of administrators, but the ideas that a lot of people bring to the table. Timeline, we even see that timeline. This obviously could be adapted to whatever year we're talking about. But as you see, it's a year-long timeline that starts with these meetings to get feedback, and then we actually build, based off the feedback, start building teams composed of those local assets. So this is where the being a connector aspect is going to be important, that we'll talk about later. District-wide summit to define priorities and strategies for the strategic plan. So here we're actually starting to create a plan that's a little more fixed, and a final plan presented to the Board of Education. So this is an excellent example, of how you can apply some of the ideas that we have in this case study. This is actually something that's happening right now in a real school district. So this is definitely something that I could do. This brings us to the third strategy in my plan of action, being a connector. So, mapping out community assets. I will begin by implementing my third strategy as soon as my principal and I begin communicating with parents, and it will remain a consistent theme throughout our listening campaign and beyond. 2. Networking. Through effective communication, we will discover the assets among our parents and community members. 3. Inspiring. Being a connector means building a network of relationships among people who are potential assets to the school and community, while inspiring among them a collective vision for school and community growth. I'm going to pick up from this slide in part 2 of my presentation. Look forward to seeing you there.